So, I thought The Witchfinders was really quite shit, but before I begin I must note that the extremity to which I thought The Witchfinders was shit may have been slightly inflated by the fact I recently watched the 2015 period horror movie The Witch, and was thoroughly underwhelmed by comparison. If that is the reason that the following video sounds so harsh, then I recognise that it's quite unfair to compare the two, because The Witch was bloody marvellous, and The Witchfinders is another subpar historical Doctor Who episode at the tail end of a series that really hasn't been doing that much for me on the whole, and was never likely to measure up to it. That, and I had another of those moments where I was expecting the episode to go off in one direction and was let down when it didn't, because the opening 7 minutes are really bloody good. It kinda makes sense to have a story where the Doctor shows up in the middle of a witch hunt, cause she's got more reasons to be accused of witchcraft than most. She's even got the magic wand. Also, the real life witch trials of the past are heavy stories. Innocent people fucking died horribly because of religious paranoia, but if you dramatise that and retcon sci-fi elements into it, it's not gonna be quite like the situation with segregation in Rosa or the partition of India in Demons, because it was just long enough ago for you to go, fuck, that's bleak, but not, fucking Christ, that's bleak, and now I'm going to spiral into depression thinking about this shit for days on end. There was a lot of potential here, and I do really like the opening sequence a lot. It was kind of like a Kids Bop version of The Witch. I also really like that after the Doctor's opening rant at Becca Savage, she starts talking to her as she goes up to her house, and we start to get to know her on a personal level, and in this scene and this scene only, she's not really demonised like you'd expect of witch hunters of the time. Because witch hunters did evil things, but they weren't evil people, they were just idiots who believed what they were doing was right. These opening scenes felt very real to me. It's an interesting portrayal of religious paranoia and the damage that it caused. And then Alan Cummings' King James bursts in, and the entire thing falls to pieces in a matter of seconds. Cummings' King James is such an over-the-top caricature that his entrance alone isn't just tonal whiplash, this was the dramatic equivalent of being driven headfirst into a brick wall at 70 miles an hour. I mean, admittedly real-life historical and/or political figures, both past and present, can be real and seem like living caricatures at the same time, but it doesn't help that this King James is written particularly poorly.
My father was murdered by my mother, who was then imprisoned and beheaded. I was raised by regents. One was assassinated, one died in battle, and another died in suspicious circumstances.
And if you'll allow me to continue copying and pasting my Wikipedia article into the script, it says here that at 57 years and 246 days, my reign in Scotland was longer than those of any of my predecessors, and that I'm going to die on the 27th of March 1625 during a violent attack of dysentery. The Witchfinders felt like wandering through an exhibit at the London Dungeon or hiring one of those historical impersonators like in the Ben Franklin episode of The Office. There's no depth or characterisation here, it's just waffle and historical trivia. I know I keep being told by Cummings' King James that he has a problem trusting people, but it's all delivered in the same pompous, jovial tone, so I don't buy any of it. Then he's just sort of stood there reciting his backstory to Ryan, a random person who he's only just met and who he's now opening up to about his life like it's no big deal. Yes, this is a man who has got trust issues. That is an aspect of his character that I totally believe. And once again, for the billionth fucking time this series, we're telling, not showing. The King James in The Witchfinders might as well be a wax figure with a sign in front of him for all this is doing to dramatise a historical figure. Maybe The Witchfinders would work as a stage play. I can imagine a character going back in time and confronting King James for his horrible actions like the Doctor does here, which is mildly cathartic. And if you're doing a stage play, you can get away with copious amounts of dialogue, and dramatic twists and turns can feel more intense when you're actually in the room with the actors really selling the story to the audience. But when you're doing this on TV, just gathering your characters in a scene so they can spoon feed you their backstory, then just sort of moving on to the next scene where a different character does the same thing, makes for a thoroughly unengaging experience. You would have to be the best writer in the damn world with the best actors ever giving the performance of their careers to get away with this much tell don't show on TV. Now, all that being said, I do really like the actress playing Willa, And given what I just said about Tell Don't Show, that is a huge compliment. She really shines through this, and I hope she gets good work in the future, and it kind of got me thinking that we should have just cut King James out entirely, and Willa should have been a key part of this story. It felt a bit convenient that Willa and Becca are related. Maybe we should have just had Willa as an everyday serf who feels alone and powerless and scared that she could be the next woman accused of witchcraft like her grandmother was, cause paranoia is the key here. And now her grandmother's gone and she has no one. She's alone and weird things happen around her, like mud turning into tentacles. She could be next. The aliens are drawn to her and the people are going to start thinking she's a witch. She gets put on trial and the doctor tries to save her. If Willa had been a central character, that would have been a phenomenal historical episode. Like, Willa is a very, very interesting character here. She could have been our new Nancy from Empty Child, and the episode's complete and total disinterest in her just makes the hideously overwritten King James stuff 20 times more irritating. I don't care about the big important historical figures, just give me an everyday person affected by events who I can relate to and understand on a personal level. I know everyone wants me to get to the alien reveal because that appears to be the big bone that everyone has to pick with Witchfinders, but the episode's biggest problem in my view is right here. The tragically missed opportunity of Willa really bugged the shit out of me because it's so blisteringly obvious how good this angle of the episode could have been that I am in no way convinced that no one on the writing staff spotted this. Someone probably spotted it, and that someone probably wasn't listened to because it had probably already been decided what Witchfinder's primary goal was, and everybody pushed ahead with the King James angle because Doctor Who is a very educational show. They're to teach children about history. Oh my god, Doctor Who is so educational. Oh my god, I'm learning so much right now. It's fucking amazing. Like, did you know that King James was a man who lived in the past? And people in the past lived in houses. And also, did you know that mud is alive and can turn into tentacles? And alright, let's address the elephant in the room.
The mighty Morax army, captured and imprisoned on this pitiful planet for war crimes.
Ooh, the Morax are you? Wow, I'm so impressed. Why not just call them voice-changed weird-faced monster alien number 5679,000? Because that's all they fucking are. I don't know, I suppose I'm not pissed at the alien reveal like some people were, because the bulk of the runtime had already let me down for one thing, and for another, it's just totally unremarkable. This is just what Doctor Who does all the bloody time, and yeah, alright, that did piss me off. We're on episode 8 of the series and we're still treading water, we're still following the same safe standard Doctor Who formulas, and this one doesn't even have any interesting character drama to distract me this time, and it's kind of been an indication of just how quickly I've been losing patience with the Chibnall era. I mean, I keep seeing this overly optimistic viewpoint shared among Whovians who've been mixed to positive on season 11 that it's a blueprint for the new era of the show. Do something simple and provide the framework so it'll do something more ambitious in the future. But I'm really unenthused by that sentiment because we're back to maybe the show will actually do something interesting again in the future. Already on the new era's first series. That and it is the same show. I know a lot more people picked up the show again at the start of Series 11, but this is still Doctor Who, and Doctor Who does shit like the Witchfinders all the time. This is the 11th season of it. Surely pretty much everyone knows what the show's all about by now, whether they watch it religiously every year or not. Surely a fair chunk of Doctor Who's audience has at least been watching since Series 8. What is this doing for them? Hell, what's something as safe and predictable as this doing for you if you've only ever seen a small handful of random episodes over the last few years? I don't know, I'm just struggling to see a point in episodes like The Witchfinders, and to an extension most of this series. It's had its moments, sure, but it hardly feels like a new era. This episode and loads of others this series wouldn't have looked that out of place in the last 5, 6 or even 7 years of Doctor Who. Oh, and I need to mention the score in The Witchfinders is really intrusive and poorly used as well. Honestly, it's like Murray Gold never left. There's just so much dialogue and so much music. I feel like I'm being pummeled every second of the runtime and like I can't absorb anything going on screen and just... I'm just tired, alright? I'm so tired. Tired of trying to think of new things to say about the same old shit over and over again, and this episode just made me feel so burned out by the whole thing, and I... Wait, what are you doing? You're not burned out yet, Stuart, but you will be. No, what are you doing? No.